And I think that of all the different things that cardamom can do, and it can do so many different things, like that's probably my favorite, is just the bringing of delight, where it's just like lightens your mood. It like helps you be open to joy. It like lets the sunshine rays in or the sparkles come.
Oh, I love that. I've never had that discussion about cardamom before, but it is a felt experience for sure.
Welcome to the Herbs with Rosalee podcast, a show exploring how herbs heal as medicine, as food, and through connecting with the living world around you. Well, most of us have cardamom somewhere in our spice cabinet. We reach for it in baking, maybe in coffee, maybe in chai. But in this episode, herbalist Missy Rohs makes the case that cardamom is doing a whole lot more than adding flavor, and most of us are only scratching the surface of what this remarkable spice has to offer. We explore cardamom as a digestive remedy, as a mood lifter, and as what Unani Tibb medicine calls an exhilarant, an herb that genuinely helps you be open to joy. By the end, your spice cabinet may never look quite the same. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up so more plant lovers can find us, and be sure to stay tuned until the very end for your herbal tidbit.
Missy, I'm so thrilled to have you on the show. Welcome, welcome.
I am so excited to be here. It's great to see you.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. I want to say that we met at Brighton Bush. Do you think that's true?
I do think that's the first time we met in person.
In person.
I
Because
do.
we knew each other, as herbalists do, online. I don't even know. I feel like you've always been there. That's how.
Yeah, likewise.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. And I'm excited to dive in with how the plants have called you to this path, because I don't think I've actually heard that story.
Yeah, great question. Sort of the prologue, I guess, is that as a kid, I was always so excited about just natural stuff. Like I considered myself a real nature kid, played outside a whole lot. And, I don't think anybody really like picked up on that and tried to like guide it anywhere. So it kind of just simmered on the back burner for a long time. And then in college, in the 90s, I remember reading punk zines because zines were a big thing in the 90s. And I remember seeing that there were recipes for herbal abortifacients. And I was like, wait, like plants can do something that important and that powerful? Like we'll never need doctors again, which is definitely not how I see things now. That's not how that goes. But it really caught my attention. And so I started dabbling in things. I took a tincture class in college, like just a thing here or there. And then also like set it aside for a while. As a young adult, I was super focused on activism and was doing that kind of 24/7, it seemed like. And after the big WTO protest in Seattle, which took a lot of organizing and a lot of energy, and then had a lot of energy coming out of that and a lot of organizing, I started to get kind of burnt out on the activism that I was doing and, facilitating and doing all these trainings and stuff like that. And so I was like, I want a role where I can show up and do something where I feel like I'm contributing to the greater good. And then I can go home and not be doing that. And so that led me to become a street medic, somebody who provides first aid at protests. I got invited to join a group of folks who were doing that here in Portland, and then quickly realized that besides learning some first aid skills, which I was not really up to snuff on, I also wanted to learn other things about health generally, because I was in this group with people who were emergency room nurses, nurse practitioners, massage therapists, herbalists, and it was like, oh, everybody else knows stuff and I'm interested in this stuff, so I should learn about it too. And so that's when I really started studying with two different instructors who were herbalists in that group, Colette Gardner and then Krista Olson. And at that particular moment in my life, I was unemployed and I had a partner who was super supportive. And whenever I learned something, she was super eager to be like, teach me, and like, I'll be supporting and learning with you. And um, between studying with both of those people and having that kind of time to devote to exploring herbalism, like my whole world changed. And I just had no idea that you could walk on a trail and know almost every plant that you encounter and know like ways that you could utilize them if you wanted to or needed to. And that was a huge life shift for me. That was just a world that hadn't occurred to me. So that's how I fell in.
So I'm like over here just like laughing to myself because I feel like every person that comes on, I like resonate with their story. I'm like, oh yeah, me too. But this particular one is like you've just shared my biography. It reminds me when you went to college. I think I know where, but I don't want to say it in case I don't know.
Oh, where I went to college? Oh, I went to Reed College.
That's what I thought. So
Yeah.
I went to Lewis and Clark. I almost went to Reed. I was like that close.
Likewise, back at you.
Yeah. So went to Lewis and Clark. And I always say I minored in activism and did the WTO and got like super burnt out, not just with that, but like the whole scene. Cause I just realized like, you know, like walking through the streets of Portland and yelling at people didn't seem to actually change anything. Anyway, so it was just, and then I was like, well, what can I do to make a difference? You know, and then, you know, exactly. So that's just I just feel like you just told my story back to me.
Yeah, I know. I feel like because we're similar ages, I know that you're a little younger than me and like came up around the same era and whatever. Like, yeah, it's just I think that that's a course that some of us in our cohort took, especially up here in the Pacific Northwest. And yeah, it's so wonderful to have herbalism as a tool to wield for good, but also it feels really generative, like really fulfilling, you know?
Yeah, it does. And just to watch, well, for me, like you, I didn't know that you could walk along a trail and know all the plants. Like I just didn't know that. And when I got to have that experience and that learning and that transformation for myself, and I was in a school and I watched other people have that too, it was like the huge aha of like, oh, this makes a difference. Like
Yes.
when people love the land, when they see their medicine comes from the land and their food comes from the land, and then their deep sense of like connection and you know, purpose comes from the land, like that transforms things. So anyway, so yeah, very, very similar stories. And then I'm assuming like you said you studied with a couple of herbalists in your cohort, and then I'm just assuming we have a similar story, and then we studied with that person, and then suddenly like a couple decades goes by.
Yeah, exactly. Like I studied with Colette Gardner a couple of different years and with Krista Olson like a couple of different years. And then I took the big plunge and went to study with Michael Moore in Arizona. And I mean, just being outside of your own ecosystem to study herbalism is its own trip. Like I actually like loved some parts of that experience, but it was also very interesting to realize like, oh, like I'm becoming really familiar with all these Southern Arizona plants that, you know, 20 years later, I'm like, I have no reason to use those. Like, it's really cool that I learned like some principles and stuff from that. But it was a very special experience to study with Michael Moore and Donna Chestner because they're, you know, Michael was great and Donna is so gifted and very cool to study from.
Yeah, I'm sure it's like that's a treasure to be able to have done that. Yeah.
Hey there, just a quick note. If you'd like to hear from me in a more personal way, I'd love to have you in my free text community. I send a couple of texts every week, things like behind the scenes updates, herbal thoughts that I'm chewing on, and little sparks of joy I don't always share anywhere else. To join, just text the word ROOT to 1-509-383-8398. And if you ever want to break up, no hard feelings. Just text STOP to the same number and you'll be opted out immediately. My goal is to make it so juicy and so fun that you look forward to getting my texts each week. Okay, now back to the show.
Well, you and I both have a deep love for hawthorn, and we were
It's
just discussing before I hit record that we're probably in a very elite population, that we both have hawthorn tattooed on our bodies and specifically on our chests. And it does seem weird to not talk about hawthorn with you today because we both share that deep love. But hawthorn has been on the show a lot, and rightfully so. We thought we'd switch things up. And interestingly, you have chosen one of my very, very favorite herbs, something I've been kind of obsessed with lately. This is like an obsession for me right now. So I want to put it over to you and say, why did you choose cardamom for today?
it's a great question. Like as you're saying, like Hawthorne has been a guest on this program many times. And like that's clearly a top choice for me when I'm gonna gush about plants for a while. And then, one thing that Paul Bergner says, who's a great herbalist that I really take to heart, is he says, be a boring herbalist. And by that, he means like, it's okay to use the standards. It's okay to use tried and true herbs. Like you don't have to like reinvent the wheel and whatever. Use something unusual or exotic or like not local to you. So that just means that some of my most used herbs are other people's most used herbs too. So like I could gush about nettle all day. I could gush about dandelion all day. I could talk about plantain. And of course, like all of them have been on your show so many times. So I was trying to think outside the box, and when you invited me, I had relatively recently baked one of my favorite cakes, and it prominently features cardamom in it. And I was like, "Oh, I should talk about cardamom, honestly, just so I can gush about this cake."
Nice.
But it's also one of my very favorite spices. And truly, like the choice to talk about cardamom is very not on brand for me because I usually am talking about weeds or about plants that are native and abundant where I live in Oregon. But um, I also really appreciate all of the herbs that we can get at the grocery store and that are so special that we use like just small amounts of them usually. And like you, I'm kind of obsessed with cardamom. It's one of my favorite flavors.
Hmm.
How do you like to use cardamom? What are you obsessed with lately about it?
Well, lately I've been putting it in my coffee. I've been doing like ground coffee and chicory and dandelion and cardamom in the morning, which is absolutely lovely. And my local, this is actually a funny story about cardamom. My local coffee shop is amazing. Blue Star Coffee, shout out. And when I go there, I'll get an iced Americano with cardamom, and they actually use cardamom. Like it's not a syrup; it's like
Yeah.
actual cardamom. And so I was traveling in Oregon actually, and I went to a coffee shop, and I was like, "Hey, can you do like an iced Americano with cardamom?" And the person goes, "What's a cardamom?" And I was like, "Cool, we're probably not going to do that today." I was like, I couldn't believe that somebody didn't know cardamom. I kind of wanted to tell them in a way of like, have I got the best thing for you? You're gonna love this. To introduce someone to cardamom at this stage in life, So yeah, I've been doing that. But then I was just recently in Europe, and I went to Sweden as part of that. And like in Sweden, they're obsessed with cardamom buns. I did not know this before I went. I did my best to like not eat a cardamom bun with every single meal. They were like always there. I mean, it was just like that was like a standard thing. And then I had a basil banana cake, had cardamom in it. My wonderful host, Lisa Sundgren, she fed me nettle soup with cardamom. Like,
Amazing.
yeah, I'd
Um,
never had that before. It was amazing, like blew my mind. So anyway, that's all my cardamom stories lately. So I've just been like, yeah, loving the cardamom.
that's so fabulous. Yeah, I actually put some cardamom in my coffee this morning too.
Ooh, nice.
Put a little half spoonful in with my AeroPress. And yeah, I love it. Like it just like kind of lightens the coffee. Like it also helps wake you up, but it also kind of like makes you feel like, oh, this is delightful coffee.
Yeah, there's that. There is, because of that aromatic quality, and, like, right now, like, I'm just so into the flavor that there's, like, a presence that I get with it too, because it's like, "Oh, this is fancy coffee. Oh, this is good." Like, it just kind of, like, is this new special thing that's going on that just makes me feel, like, delighted.
Absolutely. And I think that, of all the different things that cardamom can do, and it can do so many different things, like that's probably my favorite is just the bringing of delight. That thing that in Unani Tibb medicine, like they call an exhilarant, where it's just like lightens your mood. It like helps you be open to joy. It like, lets the sunshine rays in or the sparkles come or yeah.
Oh, I love that. I've never had that discussion about cardamom before, but it is a felt experience for sure.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah, and I think honestly for that, like kind of any preparation where you can smell it at all, like whether it's tasting and smelling or whether it's just like the aromatics of it, I think is so useful because yeah, like that means your like baked pastries with cardamom are medicinal too. Like, this is just my medicine. Um and yeah, I think that it's just so sweet that way, and you don't need a ton of it in order for that to happen. Because part of what I realized when I was, doing some research before coming on here is that cardamom is apparently the 3rd most expensive spice, after saffron and vanilla, and I believe it, especially because prices have been going up a lot over the last few years. And so it's nice to know that often you don't need a whole lot of it for it to have a really important effect.
Mhm. Yeah, I recently bought some cardamom, hold seeds that was on sale, and it was a big sale, so I was like, "Oh, I'm grabbing that." And I did, and I've been, like, grinding my own, which has been nice. Usually, I would just buy it ground, but this seemed like a much more affordable option, so look for that. And
Yeah.
it's to
Oh,
grind your own fresh too is really nice.
yeah, and honestly, if the pods are fresh enough, you can even include the pods. For those who are like visually joining this, I grabbed a couple of cardamom pods, and they're like these little, I don't know, like half-inch long oblong pods that are very green when they're super fresh, and then they fade to kind of a more light brown. And then when you crack them open, the seeds are inside. But if you get them really fresh, which I realized you can sometimes through high quality companies like Diaspora Co., um, you can include the hull when you grind it too, because it's just so aromatic when it's still fresh. So
Oh,
then, like,
lovely. Yeah, I've
this,
gotten cardamom from Diaspora Company, and it's amazing.
yeah. Yeah, I got 2 different varietals from them once and got to, like, sniff, 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 and they both just had that classic cardamom smell, but they were, yeah, just, like, subtly different, and that was really fun too.
Nice, nice.
Hey friends, it's Rosalee. If you've been nourished by this podcast, if it's helped you feel more connected to the plants or more grounded in your own herbal path, then I'd love to invite you to join the Herbs with Rosalee podcast circle. This special membership helps make the podcast possible. It supports everything we do behind the scenes, and it gives you a chance to go even deeper with the content that you love. Inside the circle, you'll get exclusive herbal resources, live classes each season with some of my favorite herbal teachers, and a private space to connect with fellow plant lovers. It's where the heart of our herbal community continues to grow. To learn more and join us, visit herbalpodcastcircle.com. Your support means the world, and it helps this podcast continue to bloom.
I'm sure you have lots more to share, but this just popped into my head. Do you ever
Mhm.
work with it as a tincture?
I love to work with it as a tincture, actually. I once got a kind of windfall gift of some whole cardamom pods. And so I experimented. This is honestly the only time that I've tinctured them because, as mentioned, a little goes a long way. I tinctured some in some 40% alcohol and some in some full strength, like 95% alcohol. and both came out really wonderful. I ended up liking the 95% a little bit better just because the aromatics stayed more true over time.
Mm.
Um, and I know that that's a really high percentage of alcohol, but again, like you're usually adding like just a little bit to a formula, like a couple squirts in a bottle or something. So it helps things like bitters or carminative formulas taste a lot better. It can also like flavor a really uplifting, like hawthorn based
Mm.
heart tincture. Um, so yeah, I love it for just improving the taste and also adding like that strong aromatic quality to a formula.
Yeah, I've never tinctured it as a simple before, but I like throwing the pods in on a like if I'm making a bitters blend
Mm.
extract. And I did learn the hard way once not to do too many pods. Like they are quite strong. So if you're like looking for a balanced taste formula, like it's like honestly like 3 per quart is fine.
Oh yeah, wow.
You don't need to do more than that, really.
Yeah. So one other thing I did in preparation for talking about cardamom today that I had never done before was I made a cold infusion of just cardamom. So a cold infusion is when you suspend the ground herb in just like, cold from the tap water, like not hot, and give it, about 8 hours or overnight to infuse. And I don't remember what I was reading that mentioned that it could be prepared that way. Maybe it was Christina Dinas's book, but I was like, oh, I never really thought about that. Like, I'll try it out. It's really intense. Rosalee, it is so intense. But kind of fun. Like you feel like you're drinking like a very um gut like stimulating medicine. Like, okay,
That
like
was immediately what I thought of. I was like, "Oh, I bet that's a digestive remedy."
yeah. Yeah. So it was super bitter. Because when you use it in small amounts, you don't notice that it could be kind of bitter, but like when it's I did a half an ounce for a quart, so it was a very strong infusion, and yeah, it was very bitter, it was highly aromatic, and yeah, it definitely went, like, straight to my gut, and I was like, "Oh, I'm sure that I'm going to process everything that I just ate, like, a lot more smoothly now, and I'm gonna have less stagnation," but also, whoa, my taste buds are very impressed.
That's interesting because that makes me think of is like I think I just tend to use cardamom as a lovely spice, and I
Mhm.
do love it immensely, and I know that there's medicinal benefit in the ways that I work with it, but what you're describing, it's like now moved into like a therapeutic medicinal potion.
Yeah, and I still like a lot of the things that do make it to our spice cabinet, I think it's fun to experiment with it at that quote unquote medicinal strength infusion kind of level, but still part of the lesson I'm taking away from that is like it's probably better to just use it in slightly smaller amounts so
Mm,
you're quite as overwhelmed by it. Like it's still going to do the same job, even if it's blended with some other things that are a little bit more gentle and buffering, or if it's even just in a smaller amount, it's going to do a lot of the same stuff.
yeah. Oh, cardamom.
I know. It would be so lovely to have access to like a ton of it because it has so many great qualities. Like it's an antimicrobial, and that would be so cool to be able to like soak your infected wound in a cardamom tea. But like, that's probably not a very pragmatic move for most folks who live in North America.
Now I want a cardamom bath, but again, probably not gonna happen. But that sounds like a very, like, lovely, perhaps, like, going into an aphrodisiac kind of,
Yeah.
realm. Yeah, that just sounds like so the aromatics, the sensuality of it.
Yeah. And for something like that, like pairing it with rose,
Mm.
like a
Those 2.
cardamom bath.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds amazing.
Yeah. And like flavor wise, the two pair really nicely too. So you can, yeah, make like little infused like milk or whatever with cardamom and rose, or they would also go really well in that coffee together.
Mm. Well, now I want to infuse rose and cardamom in milk and put that in the bath. Like the milk.
Yes.
Maybe get off the milk train, I mean the bath train, but yeah, this all sounds so lovely. Also thinking about that as like an infused oil. Sounds really good.
Oh, yes. Yeah, and cardamom is available as an essential oil. So if folks who use essential oils want to put like a couple drops into a massage oil with some like rose extract, that sounds like a perfect date night, really.
You mentioned that you're doing some research on cardamom. Have you looked at, just to put you on the spot, have you
Yeah.
looked at traditional sources of cardamom? I don't think I really have. Like it's been more of like an experiential thing. I don't know. I've done a lot of research on cardamom.
Yeah, I was just looking in some of like the, quote unquote traditional like European sources like Gerard and perimenopause. His name's like evading me right now. But I wasn't really finding anything but like super brief, like, oh yeah, you can include it in this or whatever. So I wasn't finding anything in that kind of European tradition, but I don't have any like classical texts from any other traditions around.
All right, something for us. There's always more to learn, something
Yeah.
to ponder. Sometimes it's hard. I'm sure it's not impossible. When it's harder to find that, it's kind of cool because it does lend for the like, okay, I can get out of my thinking brain and into my experiential brain.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is such a sensual herb that it's very fun to do that and to learn about it just firsthand experimenting with it.
Yeah, like for example, in a cake. I feel like we got teased earlier that you make this incredible cake and you wanted to, choose the podcast for that. It was a great tease. Maybe now would be a great time to share your delightful Persian love cake. Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about it.
So, as mentioned in the recipe, this is like a riff on a recipe that I found online, and it has just become a real go-to for me when, especially during like the dark months of the year, because like we in Portland have like some very dark months during November, December, January, and kind of need some of that like lightening, exhilarant vibe in our lives. And so this cake incorporates the taste of cardamom as well as saffron and roses. And that combination is just, I mean, talk about aphrodisiac, pretty amazing that way, but also like very much just like a sweet, uplifting thing that you can share with friends or on your own too. It definitely doesn't have to be a like only for smoochy people kind of cake. But this cake, even though it has a lot of ingredients, I felt a little bit bad like sending off a recipe that looks a little complicated at first glance, but it is such an easy cake to make. I'm kind of the baker that's really just, I do riffs on standard Toll House chocolate chip cookies and stuff. Like I'm not a fancy baker at all. I have a partner who did that professionally. And so anytime I'm like, do something that involves multiple steps, like I can enlist him. But with this cake, like it has a lot of ingredients, but so simple to put together. And then once you actually present it, it is so stunning and unusual. And, we're not used to that kind of like indulgent spice profile with the cardamom combined with the saffron and the rose and the pistachios, and it's a real stunner. So my own pride and joy about this is that I made it earlier this year over the winter for a friend's birthday party, and I had kind of forgotten, like I remembered that we were supposed to bring a gluten-free baked good. I'd kind of forgotten that it was a contest. And so there were some secret voting like ballots and whatever about who brought the best dessert. And that cardamom saffron cake did in fact win.
Wow.
So I felt very excited about that because I'm not really a baked goods winner person usually.
Oh my gosh, I'm sold on this. Definitely gonna have the handsome French husband make it. This sounds amazing. I keep thinking like it sounds so delightful. And then I look over at the title, it's like delightful.
Yeah.
So the name's there. Yeah, it sounds absolutely fantastic. And I'm excited to hear about other folks making it because I know people are going to be excited for this. So when you do make it and you love it, put in the comments so we can read all about it. And I also want to give a shout out to Tatiana, our botanical illustrator, because this botanical illustration, I don't think you've seen it yet, Missy.
Oh.
It's incredible. We'll put it on the screen like about now, but it's gorgeous. Yeah, I feel like every time she just outdoes herself. So yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. So you can get your free recipe card by going to rosaleepodcast.com. Check for it there. Just look in the show notes or description and we'll get that to you. It looks amazing. Yeah, I can't wait. I'm feeling like maybe this weekend we're just gonna make this.
Yes.
Why wait? Why wait? Yeah.
I also can't wait to see that illustration. And I will say that I was very tempted to bring saffron to this show instead of cardamom because I have to share with you that I do grow saffron crocuses.
You do.
And so this is my 2025 harvest.
Oh my gosh.
And so it's so exciting because it's just really magical. Like it's such a tiny, like it's just a crocus, right? It's a small plant, and then you're gathering the stigma. And
How do you do that? Can I ask? Like, do you get out their tweezers or like how does this work?
I mean, it sounds a little ruthless, but I found that the easiest way is just to pluck off the flower and then bring it, over to a bowl or whatever, and then just kind of rip apart the flower.
Okay.
So,
Teach their own, Missy. Teach their own. It's
I
fine.
know it makes me sound like such a monster. But
I've
like,
never done it. So that is probably what I would do. That sounds like what I would do. I just kind of always envisioned the harvest as being like plucking. I don't know why. Just in my head, that's what I thought it was. Like like long, like the long
yeah,
tweezers. That's kind of what I imagined.
that's what I did the first time I did it. My friend had grown a whole bunch of them and had invited me over because she was like, I'm not going to use all of these. You can harvest some. And I was like, what? And so I like carefully plucked from the center of each flower and left them there. But then once I started growing them myself, I was like, no, that's a little over the top and ridiculous. But yeah, it's also helpful because they bloom in usually early October, and that is the start of the rainy season here. And so half the time when I'm harvesting, like the flowers are covered in water and it's not exactly ideal to just pluck out there. So I'll bring the flowers in, and especially like they're still closed sometimes. And then when they come inside, after they've been beheaded, they'll like open up, and it's just the most beautiful way to harvest in the world. Like have this like bowl of open,
especially in October, these beautiful purple flowers and
yeah,
so lovely. Will you hold up your jar again for those?
yeah,
I'm curious, like how much work goes into that jar?
yeah. This is probably, I would guess, like, usually there's like 3 big bloom days and then like maybe 4 or 5 like smaller bloom days. Like it kind of extends over about 2 weeks. And I'll just go out, and it's in my raised bed, and like just pluck off the flowers into a bowl, and then pluck out the pistils from there.
And
So
you dry them like on a paper towel, or do you like dehydrate them more specifically, or?
I've been meaning to experiment with dehydrating them on like more deliberately, like with some heat, because I've just left them out to dry, and because they're so tiny and thin, they dry pretty quickly. And so I just spread them out on a bowl, and let them do that very quickly. But I did do some reading that the standard is to actually dry them like much quicker on a like medium high heat. And so that might retain even more flavor.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's always a bit of a juggle once like the actual season gets around, because then that's also porcini season and chanterelle season, and I'm trying to.
No, it's actually the season where I don't care anymore. Like, I'm just so tired. Like, because I'm like, should I grow crocus? And I'm just like, yeah, like in October, I'm kind of just over it,
Yeah.
So, but oh my gosh, to have your own. And the thing too, I think about growing your own is because, as you mentioned, saffron being this incredibly expensive spice. But when
Yeah.
you harvest your own, or at least familiar with it, it helps you understand why, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really does. And, I can't even imagine that work that the workers go through, like, crouching down with crocus being so low to the ground.
Right.
Like, it must be very grueling work and totally worth paying for.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks for bringing saffron to the show too. That's lovely. We got sidetracked. Is there anything else that you'd like to share about cardamom?
No, I think that folks should just experiment with it more. It was a real eye-opener for me when I realized that you could use it in savory things too. So I'm excited for your nettle soup. But I also make some like collard greens that have cardamom and cumin and smoked paprika as like their main flavoring, and that's really fun. So yeah, I think folks should experiment with it and dabble in it more.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of savory, like that just makes me think of my husband does a lot of Indian inspired cooking. And
Mm,
he has this dish that's like chicken and cardamom that's like incredible. It's like a yogurt chicken cardamom thing. Um, yeah, the savory. It's like, yeah, what a incredible spice. We can go savory, sweet, and both are just like delectable.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for bringing these wonderful spices and this delightful cake. Very excited to try that out. And I know you've had your school now for a couple of decades. I would love to hear more about that.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, this is the 20th year of the Arctos School. And when we started at Grady Proctor, and I named it Arctos, Arctos, because Arctos is Greek for bear, and bears are really good herbalists. And, we wanted to take our inspiration from something that wasn't one particular plant, because it's so, back then, like we had the internet, but we couldn't search everything. And so it's just like any plant we choose, we might be like choosing the same name of 5 other schools around the country.
Right.
So anyways, the Arctos School. And yeah, this year, as I've been doing for the last decade or so, we've been focusing on the Herbal Immersion program. And it's an in-person learning opportunity that goes April through October. And the thing that I love about it, I love so many things about it, I guess, but we spend half of our time outside. So learning about like ecology and plant identification and exploring ethical wildcrafting, and just like really getting folks familiar with the place where we actually live. And I think that that's, like there's really important things about the indoor part too, where folks are at my home and we make different kinds of medicines and we learn about herbs by body system and we talk about formulation and all that kind of stuff. But the outdoor part, I think, does that thing that we were talking about earlier, where like folks are getting invested in where we live and invested in our land and invested in our planet. And it's just kind of rehumanizing our experience like as people on this planet, and shifting how we think about sustainability and ecology and environmentalism and all that kind of stuff, and taking it to a different level.
That's how I started my herbal journey, was a 3-year apprenticeship that was like half the time was outside and, doing very similar things. And like, I am so grateful to that every day, that's where I started. I know some people, they just start entirely in clinicals and they're just in, classroom learning, which is, great too. There's lots of information there, but that like transformation of coming back to the land, getting to know my green friends, of like feeling like I had a place and belonging finally on this earth, is like, that is the thing that I love most about herbalism. And then the only way you can really truly capture that is an in-person program. So I'm so glad that you're doing it and that you've been doing that work for a couple decades now. And yeah, it's such a transformative experience. Will you share the URL, the website where folks can find you, or Instagram or whatever? Share it all.
Absolutely. We're at arctosschool.org, which I know is like a weird thing to spell, but it's ARCTOS school.org. And you can also find it at us at Arctos School on Instagram and on Facebook. I'm always trying to up my social media game. I'm like a little bit more on top of it now, but and yeah, I really think that in-person learning, like, it is so important. And well, folks can do it by themselves. Like, it's so much more meaningful for a lot of folks that to do it in community.
Mm.
Some of my favorite moments have been times when, like, we've had, for instance, a naturopathic student in our program, and they're learning so much stuff that I'm probably never gonna know, right? Like, they're learning about physiology and illness and all kinds of stuff, but like, they're using the same plants, but they're, at least this person or that I'm thinking of, and a lot of other students that I've known, like, they're exposed to them in bottles, right? And so to hear this one student say, like, I've changed, my relationship to everything that I use in the apothecary now, because like, I didn't even know that arnica was a beautiful yellow flower. And like, now I know all these plants and I can envision them and I have my own relationship with them. And I'm just like,
yes. Oh, yeah. Well, thank you for sharing so much about that. And before you go, Missy, I have, sorry, I'm so sorry. Sorry.
No worries.
Sorry.
Oh, are you doing something? Oh, wow. Oh, is that Missy? Wow, cool.
Hey there.
Hey, Missy, what's going on?
Surprise guest Mason.
Yeah.
I'd like to introduce surprise guest Mason Hutchison from Herb Rally and Folk Methodology. This may or may not have been planned, but
very impromptu. Yeah, I just want to shout out Missy and her school, Arctos School. I was a former student, actually, so I consider Missy one of my herbal mentors for sure. And yeah, do you mind if I quickly plug your program, or did you just do that?
Oh, please. That's so sweet of you.
Well, just from a student perspective, I say this all the time on my show, but one of my OG herbal mentors, Howie Brownstein, always says, repetition is the key to mastery. And so, after a few years taking that school at Columbines, I was like, oh, I want to take another mentorship program. So I decided to drive up to Portland, hang out with you and Grady Proctor. I know Grady's not there as much these days, but yeah, it was so cool to like delve back into the plants with you all. And not only that, but you layered on some new components that I was super excited about. Like, I don't know if you talked about this, but that mushroom hunting trip was super fun. You probably still do that, I suppose. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. And then there's like this whole kitchen medicine component. So not only was I, relearning a lot of the similar plants that I learned in Columbines, but, I was layering on that repetition. But also you threw in a bunch of new components that I had no experience in whatsoever, aka tree medicine, mushroom hunting, the kitchen medicine component. And obviously you all threw in a bunch of new factoids that I had no clue about a lot of these plants. So anyways, just personal testament. I loved the course. It was worth the 2-hour drive from Eugene every couple weeks or whatever that I did. So yeah, that's arctosschool.org. More information in the link in the show notes, I'm sure. But
look at you.
Yeah. So anyways, we just wanted to ask you this final question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
What was it again? What part of herbalism turned out to be harder than you expected?
Ooh. So you know me, I'm full of hot takes. So
I love that about you.
My controversial take here is that I wasn't expecting so much I wasn't expecting it to ruffle feathers, that I believe that herbalism and conventional medicine are both really worthwhile.
That's cool.
And that they can be used together, and that sometimes it's a great idea to take herbs and not conventional medicine. And sometimes it's a great idea to take conventional medicine and not herbs. And that it surprised me when I realized that has been and continues to be like a very, very controversial take. So I've definitely like caught some flack from folks for, like advocating that folks get COVID vaccinated if they can, or like that's sometimes like the easiest medicine to carry on you for pain is going to be like a lightweight container of ibuprofen. And that's also okay. And that herbs are still really powerful, because even folks who, have experience with both realms of medicine will sometimes say things like, oh yeah, well, like, herbalism is the real medicine. But of course, like when it comes to infections, like get some antibiotics. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like herbalism has amazing tools to fight infections too. So I just feel like it's a constant dialogue with every different side about how powerful and important herbalism is, and how powerful and important other healing modalities are too.
Mm. It's so important, Missy, because I always just think of like the more things we have in our toolkit to choose from for any particular person, situation. Like you said, even just like when you're traveling, I mean, there's just so many different reasons why we might choose one or the other. And it's just, for me, it becomes more and more powerful to have lots of options instead of, shrinking down to feeling like rigidity and that we only can choose one or the other.
Exactly. And like, I think that it's important to spread herbalism and empower folks to utilize it in their home and utilize it in their lives. And that like we can also advocate for people having access to accessible healthcare and like getting their conventional healthcare needs met too. That it's a both and it's so important to have both on board.
Yeah. Well, thanks for bringing your hot take. Appreciate it.
One of my favorite examples of that was when I used to volunteer at the Occupy Medical area in Eugene, Oregon. They would have nurses, doctors, herbalists, body care workers, and they were all working under one umbrella. And it was so cool to see how everyone just, collaborated on all that. So
absolutely.
so kind of does something similar in Africa.
Yeah. And that was, part of how I came into herbalism was through, working in that collective with folks providing first aid demonstrations and like having people come from all different kinds of practitioner backgrounds. So, yeah.
Yeah, Missy, how did you get into herbalism?
Hit rewind.
I interviewed Missy too. So.
I do appreciate you showing up for an impromptu guest question.
Yes, of course.
It's been so delightful to have you on the show, Missy. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. And I look forward to whatever you two have cooking right now that you are collaborating together.
Lots of good stuff.
Yeah. Are we working on projects together?
Oy vey, let me count the ways. Yeah.
I don't know. There might be a thing.
Missy, though.
Yeah. Oh, just a teaser.
Yeah, all right, there you go.
All right, Missy, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much for listening. You can download your illustrated recipe card from today's episode. Just head to herbswithrosaleepodcast.com or check out the show notes for a link. If you're not already subscribed, I'd love to have you as part of this herbal community so I can deliver even more herbal goodies your way. This podcast is made possible in part by our awesome students. This week's student spotlight is on Angela Amarillo in Bogota, Colombia. Angela is a student in the Herbal Energetics course, which really brings her background in biology and ecology into her herbal studies, along with a strong desire to support her family and community through plant medicine. She explored chamomile as her bitter ally, growing it on her farm, testing it, tasting it in all these different forms, and even involving her family in the process. Her observations about how each person experiences herbs differently offer a really beautiful reflection on how personal herbalism can really be. Angela's thoughtful engagement and curiosity really make her a valued part of the community. It's so much fun to have her in the live classes with her questions as well. And if you'd like to deepen your skills as an herbalist, you can check out my foundational courses at herbswithrosalee.com. Okay, you've made it to the very end of the show, which means you get a gold star and this herbal tidbit. Well, we spent a lot of time today talking about cardamom as something you can find in your spice cabinet, but here's something that might surprise you about where that cardamom might have come from. So cardamom is native to the cloud forests of southern India, where it's been enjoyed for thousands of years. But today, more than half the world's cardamom comes from Guatemala, a country with no traditional cultural connection to the spice whatsoever. It arrived there in 1914 when a German coffee planter named Oskar Klofer brought it to his estate in the highlands of Alta Verapaz, where the cool, humid, high-altitude cloud forest turned out to be the near-perfect match for its native habitat. Guatemala has been the world's largest cardamom producer since 1980. And like so many spices, cardamom depends on bees to reproduce. Its flowers require specific pollinators, bees large enough to force their way into the blooms and make contact with the pollen. In Guatemala, that means the entire cardamom harvest rests in the hands, or rather the wings, of local bee populations. So next time you reach for your cardamom, there's a good chance it grew in a Guatemalan cloud forest, pollinated by bees, harvested by smallholder farmers, and traveled halfway around the world to end up in your spice cabinet. It's not bad for something that also happens to bring us so much joy. As always, it's a pleasure to have you. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you in the next episode.
So you missed it, but you have to check out this cake that she has given us for
Holy
the recipe.
moly. That's amazing.
It's a delightful Persian cake. It has things like rose water, cardamom, honey, orange juice, rose water, saffron, chopped pistachios.
I love pistachios.
Yeah. Don't you think the handsome French husband?
Oh, yeah. He's
should
going to be all
make
about that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
to make it.
Yeah, he's going to make it. That's what I'm thinking.
Is rosewater synonymous with hydrosol? Is it the same thing?
It really is. Yeah.
Cool. Nice. Yeah, that looks incredible.
Yeah.
Mm.
Can't wait.
Can't wait for him to make that for me.
Yeah.
Made us popcorn last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.